your afternoon, maybe your evening, and welcome to this live stream. I'm going to be talking about an important topic today that doesn't get discussed directly as much as it needs to be, but how to become better men, right? If you are a woman watching this, that's fine too, right? You should understand this as well, but for us men, we do have to have a more direct conversation because there are a lot of things that we assume about and we just get influenced by on social media, right? We're just letting ourselves get influenced by all sorts of media. And how often do we actually stop to think about what is this, right? How should we be a better man, right? How much do we reflect on this? And so I want to actually start this conversation by going back all the way to antiquity, at least in the Western world. For those of you who have perspectives maybe from Eastern societies, I know we got all sorts of viewers on here from all over the world. Feel free to chime in and give me some perspective if you are from, let's say India, China, the eastern part of the world, Middle East, etc. But in the Western world, in antiquity, going back to Aristotle, Plato, and Socrates, I will use those as examples. You think of philosophers, right? Oh, Aristotle, right? Thinker. Oh, philosopher. You think of Socrates as, oh, just a philosopher, a thinker, right? Whatever. That's so like, who cares, right? But did you know that Socrates was actually one of the most valiant warriors in the Athenian army, right? Really well-known, brave, courageous warrior. And so, you talk about, I think when nowadays we look at these like, I will comment on this traditional academic, right? And I come from the academic world, so I can speak to this. But I also come from the entrepreneurship world. I've led and built sales teams, really, really productive, really successful, really profitable sales teams. I've run academic test prep agency that was multiple six figures of profit per year, not revenue. So the thing is that I kind of have both perspectives, both worlds, right? Of this academic world and the entrepreneurship world. And I got a little bit fed up at a certain point with the academic world, with it being all theory. And this does have to do with masculinity because there's if you have all theory and you don't have enough and you don't have action, right? You don't have those things that we consider traditionally masculine, right? Like courage, like leadership, right? Like, focus, and also care and compassion for others. This is a big one. Honor, right? If you don't think about all those things that Socrates, going back, Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, that they all valued. They actually disagreed with each other in many respects. Actually, Plato and Socrates agreed with each other more. But Aristotle and Socrates and Plato disagreed with each other in many respects, but they agreed on a lot of those things. But if you look in academia today, one of my biggest frustrations with it has been this theoretical side and lack of action. And what I believe is virtue, right? What really is virtue is you have to have both, right? And that's why I'm really grateful that I have had the entrepreneurship side experience for more than 10 years, and different businesses, very, very different businesses, and also the academic side, right, the theoretical side, because I kind of see both of those worlds. Now, I would love to hear if anybody's on the stream who has experience in one or the other. Let's say, do you have entrepreneurship experience? Do you have, specific business experience? Do you have specific academic experience? What is your perspective on masculinity, or how guys basically behave, or what their principles are, the principles that they live by in those fields, right? And so, going back to Socrates, he was not just a philosopher, but he was a thinker. He was not just a philosopher and a thinker, but he was a warrior. One of the most valiant ones recorded in Athenian history. Fought in many wars, right? Very courageous. And if we go to Plato's, um, uh, uh, theory of justice, all right, he talks about this. He talks about, the virtuous man. What is the virtuous man? The virtuous man is not just somebody who has physical strength, right? Not just someone who is courageous or tough, right, in that traditional sense, but it's someone who also has wisdom, right? Has the ability to think clearly. And one thing that I really see, uh, hey, I'm talking about something important, right? So, nameless book. You should read the title so you know what we're talking about. But anyway, so it's not just about one side or the other. It's not just about being courageous and tough and all this stuff. Because guess what? At the end of the day, most of that stuff is BS by itself. We got to have this conversation. We as men, a lot of time, we use courage and toughness and materialism. Hey, bro, I'm gonna punch this piece of whatever. I'm gonna punch this thing, right? I mean, look, come on. We're using that stuff as a cover for our inadequacy, right? Our lack of ability to think and reflect. When really we need to balance it. I'm not saying we get rid of those things, not at all. Courage, leadership. What is leadership? Let's talk about leadership. Yeah, the power of critical thinking, right? Leadership from a man's perspective, as a man, right? Virtue, leadership. What is leadership? Leadership is being an example for others. Being an example so that we can impact other people's lives, right? So, nameless book. I don't like thinking, though I act on feelings. Well, so you act on feelings, you're gonna get really bad results in your life. That's that's the unfortunate reality. Again, I have more than 10 years of really successful experience in entrepreneurship. I go back to the academic world. I'm a peer-reviewed researcher as well, internationally published researcher. and the thing is, okay, hedonism. All right. Well, let's talk about hedonism. Actually, let's talk about hedonism in a little bit. I like that topic, right? Because we'll talk about it. Of course, I know what hedonism is. But you might actually mean Cyrenaicism. Hedonism is usually confused for Cyrenaicism, and vice versa. What you mean, hedonism is actually just seeking pleasure. Cyrenaicism is probably what you're referring to, which is just following your emotions and seeking instant gratification, right? So that's probably what you're. A lot of that gets confused in our common culture, so don't feel bad about that, about confusing that. But you mean lead by example. Nasser, yes, lead by example, right? Leading by example, being brave, being courageous, being compassionate, being tough, right? Being assertive, but not if we're all those things, courageous, tough, assertive, then we make, well, because nameless book, how old are you? Just curious. Because I'm gonna guess you have your whole life ahead of you, right? You're probably pretty young. You probably have your whole life ahead of you. If we don't think critically, all right, then and we just follow our desires all the time. And don't take it from me. Here's what the science says, right? Because this is my field, which is neuroscience, neurobiology, behavioral science. What the evidence shows is that long term, you may get away with it for a little bit. Yeah, there you go. So it's great. Congrats for actually diving in. Nameless book, congrats for diving into this stuff early, right? Diving into this stuff early. If we don't think critically, we can get away with that for a little bit. But long term, we actually end up making a lot of decisions that we regret. And that's true. Take it from me. When I was a sophomore in college, I'll talk about my experience when I was a sophomore in college. I had a lot of those, just follow my instinct, follow my pleasure, follow my desire. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with following your desires to an extent. Why shouldn't we have some fun, right? Of course. Why shouldn't we have some fun? But when it also comes to having a broad perspective of our life, what's the next 10 years? Have we ever asked ourselves, for those who are here, have we ever asked ourselves, what's the next 10 years of our lives going to look like? If we keep just following our desires, what does the next 10 years look like? What does the next 20 years look like? We just seek instant gratification, right? What? Food, sex, alcohol, whatever that is. We just keep following that. And it's for you to answer. It's not for me to answer and to judge you. All right? That's none of my business. I don't know anything about you. How can I judge you? No way, right? It's not a question for me to answer. It's a question for you to answer. Okay, so yes, so you have some strong feelings about this. All right, if I follow what I want, I get what I want. Probably not. Probably not, actually. So I disagree with that after a lot of experience. Not if you just follow what you want, you get what you want. That it's just not true. So great. Yeah, let's see. If you reach for the moon, yeah. So maybe Nameless Book, probably we have some common ground here, and you probably maybe there's some miscommunication here. Probably miscommunication on my part. Maybe you're interpreting what I'm saying as don't follow what you want to do, right? Don't follow what you want to do. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is act with virtue. Virtue shouldn't be out of line with what you want to do, right? It should be in line with what we want to do. But act with the virtues of courage. Act with the virtues of reflection. We're humans. Here's the thing. Chenganer Vlog, welcome. I'm gonna answer your question in a moment. But here's the thing. It's just been proven. It's just been shown. If we don't have some self-reflection, long term, we're going to end up making mistakes, making bad decisions that cost us for the rest of our lives. So we need to be reflective in our everyday life. That is really key. So what do I gain by being courageous, praised, and cowardly? They showed fear and ran away. Can you rephrase your question? Because I'm not sure I understand. What do I gain by being courageous, praise the cowardly? They showed fear. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Just rephrase it. In the meantime, I'll answer. Cheng or Vlog. Long term, next 10 years. Since we don't have any guarantee to wake up tomorrow morning, why should I plan for next 10 years? Well, yeah, I actually agree with you in some sense. It's actually hard to plan for the next 10 years. It is, quite honestly. So what about the next 6 months? I think there's a pretty good chance you're going to be alive in 6 months. All right, I'm going to bet. I'd be willing to place a bet you're going to be alive in the next 6 months. What do you want your life to look like in the next 6 months then? Don't think about, okay, 10 years, whatever. I can't see 10 years. Who can see 10 years? You might choose something completely different, right? 6 months. Guys, read this book. Read this book, The 12-Week Year. And Nameless Book, you too. Nameless Book, I want you to pursue what you want. I encourage you to. When I was in my undergrad, I was not pursuing what I wanted. Right? I had no direction. When I got into my grad school, if I got into grad school, once I got into grad school, I still didn't feel like I was pursuing what I wanted. I feel like if I had pursued what I wanted earlier, I would have gotten on the right track earlier. Actually, Nasser, I disagree. In 6 months, you can achieve quite a lot. I remember back when I was in direct sales, I set a 6-month goal to hit what was it, like 4K, 5K a month from zero, and it's not much, but I actually got there, and then just continued on from there. So you can do a lot in 6 months. It's not just about money. Money. I love money. Don't Nameless Book. Actually, I'm curious. Can you tell me about your goal? So, Nameless Book, tell me about your goal. I want to hear about your goal. What is your goal? What do you want? What is this desire that you talk about? What are you looking to achieve? Because I'm not sure we disagree. I'm not sure we disagree. I think we're actually saying the same thing. And then on defense, we Muslims pray 5 times a day. We live day to day like as our last day in the world. What do you think about religion? So personally, and I'll be honest, I'm not afraid to talk about this. We shouldn't be afraid to talk about I just posted something, religion, politics. I personally am not a religious person. However, I respect people who have religious belief. I truly do. And I believe we can have respectful conversations about religion. You know, I believe there are valid reasons for people to have a faith system. I do. I don't think I'm not one of these people who says you know, oh, religious people are bad or whatever. I don't think that. I think people have reasons, can have very good reasons for pursuing a faith, and so I respect you. I want to tell you I respect you. I respect everybody on here. So the money, we don't speak about money. Oh, so you don't speak about money. Okay, interesting. I'm not sure what you're saying. I'm not sure what you're trying to say. Yes, much respect to you. Much respect to you back. Nameless Book, also I have friends that are leaders and people that look up to them. It seems annoying when everyone's constantly worried about you and watching everything you do. Yeah, actually, still, not Nameless Book, I haven't heard your goal yet. What's your goal? I need you to tell me your goal, because I want to hear it. Because here's the thing, I want to support you in your goal. If you tell me your goal, and I mean it. This is part of the reason I do these streams. This is part of the reason I have my YouTube channel. I want to help people hit their goals. I want to put that out there. So please tell me your goal, and I'd love to hear from you by email. You can find my email address. Reach out to me. Herman, without critical thinking, I will not be able to decide. Welcome, Herman. If the things I'm emotionally attached to are really the things I deeply want. Yeah, that's true. Emotions are often misleading because they often grounded in our messed up childhood. So yeah, that is really true. Keenan, welcome. Welcome. Nice to see you. Nice to have you. Herman, I would totally agree with you. So there are what are called levels of agency. This is from social cognitive theory. Levels of agency. We actually, in a sense, you could kind of argue we have several selves. We have the base level self that just follows whatever our instincts are. This is a very nutshell version, little condensed version. There's a base level that just follows our desires, There's a next level which constrains, or not constrains, but regulates those desires. Like, let's say, if you might say, oh, I don't want to smoke, right? Maybe you do actually. One part of you does want to smoke, but now you cognitively said to yourself, I don't want to smoke. I want to go to the gym. But I don't feel like it. What's wrong there? The next level of motivation is where you can regulate that desire. I don't want to want to smoke, right? I don't want to smoke. Right? I want to motivate myself. I want to feel like I want to go to the gym. There's a little difference there, but we can actually modulate. So let me read all the comments here. I'm getting to everybody. So Nasser, I meant in 6 months we cannot do a lot except money, which is out of context here. Okay. It depends. It depends what your goal is. It depends how productive you are toward your goal. Nasser, again, you'd have to give me your specific goal. And a bunch of letters here, VCR, whatever. I want to become a billionaire. Well, okay, good. More power to you. But why? Why do you want to become a billionaire? Do you want to become a billionaire because everybody says it's cool, right? And everybody's told you that you should want to become a billionaire, or do you want to become a billionaire for a very specific reason? That's your goal. So, Nameless Book. My goals are to graduate college. Great. Find a sad 9-to-5 work my life away in a box while I fall into hedonism while working. What's the point of trying so hard if that's my potential? Well, are you sure that's your potential? What made you conclude that? What I'm hearing from you is I'm hearing that you might be in a really depressive space. What I'm hearing from you is you probably don't have a lot of support and people actually pushing you on. And here's okay. We're addressing something very important here. Here's what's wrong with and I'm it's not you. Here's what's wrong with our state of society and with young men. What happens is we actually have at some point stopped giving a lot of support to young men, right? There's we tend to brush off young men's problems as, oh, just take care of it yourself, right? And we don't support young men like we should as much, right? Yeah, so Melissa, and thank you for being the female on here. I love a woman's perspective on this too, because we need all perspectives on this topic. Man is taking the ego. The solution is to have more integrity. I agree. Integrity, right? It's balanced here. Chenganor. So critical thinking, and seriously, man, nameless book. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm here for you. If you don't want your future to be that way, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to help. I mean, give you guidance at least, right? So give you some perspective on my path, because I feel like the way with what you're describing is a lot of how I felt. What 12 years ago, and I really turned my life around. You can turn your life around. So feel free to reach out to me. I am here if you want to talk. So I'm open to that. That's why I have this channel, guys. That's why I have this channel. Just coming back to that. That's why I do this. That's why I spend my time with you guys on my... Listen, I have financial freedom. I have time freedom. That's why I can sit here. This is what, 10, almost 11 a.m. my morning, and I can talk to you guys. Because my time is my own, and that's not a flex. I'm not saying it as a flex. The point of my saying it is I was broke in six-figure debt. I had 12, what was it back then? Maybe $21 or whatever. I forget whether the one was first or the two was first. I had 12 or $21 going into a supermarket each week to get food. I didn't have enough food to eat. I was living in a little room that was $400 a month. When it was winter time, it was cold and there wasn't enough heating. I was freezing in the room, right? Guys, you can. There is hope. There is hope. So, everything is about networking. I gave up on trying to work hard. Well, if you give up on yourself, nameless book, that's the only thing that can stop you. If you give up on yourself, that's what can stop you. If you reach out and you have people around you to help you, then you can definitely succeed. Definitely. So, okay. So, am I in America? Yes, Nasser, I'm in America. I am in the United States. I'm in New York City. Chenganur, no problem. You bet. So, guys, I think this is probably not going to be the first live stream, the only live stream I'll ever do on this topic. I think it's such an important topic. And I do think that young men in particular, really nowadays just kind of have been forgotten. And, I think we need to, it's not that we need to support women. We need to support women. And we need to support men. We need to support each other, right? But there has been this kind of, I've noticed it over the past decade or so, just this dismissal of young men's problems and things like that. And we need to kind of support each other. I am here for support. You're 14. Hey, listen, more power to you. I am so proud of you for getting started. Yeah, Sigma thing. Yeah. I'm so proud of you for getting started looking into this at 14 years old. I'm so Yeah, 3 years in jail now. Yeah, listen, there was a man who went bankrupt 5 times and 3 years in jail. Now he's in. Yeah, so you really can bounce back. Um, best books to read. Best books to read. Well, if you're just getting started, if you're, you know what? Here's an all-time favorite of mine. If you want to get the right mindset for success, and that doesn't just mean money. Money alone does not mean success. Trust me. I'm not old, but I'm 35 years old. I'm not in my 20s anymore. I have the perspective of having gone through my 20s, having made a lot of mistakes. I would say the best book to get started for mindset specifically is Psycho-Cybernetics. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Let's see. Can I put it in the chat? Damn, I don't even. This thing is so new to me. I don't even know how this works anymore. But anyway, Psycho-Cybernetics. Psycho, like psycho, like psychology. Psycho, and then cybernetics. CYN. Wait, no. CYBERNETICS. So Psycho-Cybernetics. Yeah, Nasser, great point. Okay, money is a tool. Money is not the goal, guys. Money is not the goal. Money is great. Let me tell you, money is very good. Money is a good thing, but money is a tool. Because here's the thing: once you do make money, once you do achieve wealth, right? Yes, Psycho-Cybernetics. Thank you. Once you do that, what you're gonna be unfulfilled. You're gonna be unhappy, and this is just a fact of human biology. Once you make the money and you just sit on a pile of money, unless you have some purpose to do with that money, right? Unless you have some purpose, and usually it's some sort of again, this is from actual research, decades of research in social psychology. If that's an other-oriented or service-based goal, serving your community, serving other people, you will be happier. You will be happier, right? Melissa, good. So you really value your faith a lot then, which is great. I love that we have different perspectives, lots of different perspectives. Some people who are Muslim on here, people who might have other faiths, some people who don't have any religion, but are more secular. This is great. What we don't do enough in our society and in our world is have open conversations like this where we all try to respect each other and we all have different perspectives. But isn't it a beautiful thing when we can all have different beliefs and different perspectives, and then we have a conversation with each other? Psycho-Cybernetics, yes, thank you. And then thank you. I would say it's a pretty good book. It's a pretty good, and it's pretty. I've had people tell me, oh, it's what actions can I take from it? It's not a book of hacks, guys. It's not a book of do this thing, do these 5 things to be whatever. It's not. I'll tell you, most of the books and things that have hacks and stuff like that, most of it. Here's the catch: what's gonna make you do the hacks? What's gonna make you the kind of person who's actually gonna implement the hacks? That's the catch-22 there, right? This is the book Psycho-Cybernetics, that will actually help you to implement all those other hacks. How to get a disciplined life for college students. Hold on. I was 14 reading. Hold on. Let me just read all your comments. For example, Think and Grow Rich. Rich Dad Poor Dad. Open e-commerce stores, failed. Tried to get a commission of other businesses, failed. Tried Instagram marketing, failed. Oh, Nameless Book. That's great. But that's all you failed at? Only 5 things so far? You didn't do enough. Not enough failing. That's not enough failing. I think you said too few things. I failed at a lot more. You didn't fail enough. Not nearly enough. Not nearly enough to say you actually failed. So that's way not enough. You got to fail at 10 things. You got to fail. You got to fail bigger. You got to lose a lot of money at something. You got to waste a lot of time at something. All right. Yeah. So definitely not enough. How to get a disciplined life for college students. How can I develop critical thinking? age 23. Here's what I would recommend to you. I actually have a video coming up this Monday. You should definitely watch that video. It's going to be about so yeah, I'll give you books. You guys can go through my books, book recommendations on my channel. But there is a book, Being Logical, by D.Q. McInerney. Being Logical. That is a good book for learning logic and critical thinking. But besides that, I do have a video coming up on Monday. Watch out for it. It's going to be on different logical fallacies and cognitive biases, and it'll be about training yourself how to think better, think more clearly. Because here's the thing, when you think more clearly, and this is the answer for you, actually, JEE Aspirant 2025, listen, when we think more clearly, we actually are in more control of our lives. That's a fact. That's a part of self-mastery. You want to know the scientific basis of it? Because you think maybe I'm full of it, right? Yeah, righteousness. Great, Melissa. I agree. For everybody, right? I call it virtue, but different people, I guess, call it different things. Righteousness, virtue, the highest good. So what is how to be productive for college students? So you were saying, hold on. Oh yeah. So just so you guys know, I'm not like full of it, right? Like, oh, you're just saying things, right? I know, it's just easy. It's easy for anybody to get on YouTube and say stuff. I get it. I get it. So there is, when you are about to make a decision, or when you are acting, most of the time, so what's happening as decisions are getting made, even as beliefs are being formed, what's called your limbic system. You can look it up if you're not familiar with neuroscience. Your limbic system is activated. Your autonomic nervous system is then activated, and you actually, unless you stop it and interrupt that process, you're going to act automatically, right? You're not going to do the thing you probably want to do. And this has to do with discipline. It has to do with discipline. So actually, a lot of self-talk here is very important. How do you interrupt the process? Your prefrontal cortex. That's the thing that makes all the decisions. That's the thing that says, okay, slow down. What are you actually feeling here? And then what do I actually do next? What do I want to do next? And that actually, I will tell you, that is actually a big part of discipline. Is the reason you may not feel disciplined, the reason we may not feel disciplined, very, very simple. It's biological. One of the reasons we don't feel disciplined is that what was I going to say? One of the reasons we don't feel disciplined a lot of times is due to emotional factors. It's things that we feel. We don't feel worthy enough. Oh, we feel, why is it worth it? Oh, why, am I good enough? Subconsciously. And so one of the keys is, and I want you to try this, and there's actually even new research on this lately, stop for 30 seconds. When you feel a certain way, stop for 30 seconds, stop yourself. And when you give yourself just that pause, right, it's going to give your brain enough time for those impulses from your autonomic nervous system to funnel up to your prefrontal cortex and be processed for you to be able to actually make the decision you want to make and reflect on that emotion. So stop for 30 seconds. You start asking yourself, why do I feel this way? What's the emotion here? Is it anger? Is it sadness? Is it frustration? Is it disappointment? And then, yeah, Nasser, it's a big part of it. Then you reflect on it and you say, well, what is the decision I actually want to make here? What is the decision that's in line with who I want to be? And Nameless Book, that's a good question. What are your core whys to work so hard toward your goals? I work hard toward my goals because, and one of my core whys is I want to help society. And it sounds like a big lofty goal, but I want to help society come together more. I think we have more common ground than we think. And one of my big missions is I want to help people, I want to help all of us to find the common ground and actually work together more and harness those natural human instincts that we have developed over millions of years, actually millions of years, hundreds of thousands of years, but arguably millions of years too, to cooperate. We are inherently, yes, we're destructive as a species, but we're also inherently cooperative. We're inherently cooperative. We have an instinct to cooperate. Guess what? The reason we have survived ice ages, one of the core reasons that Neanderthals don't exist and we're the only ones left, because there were several human species before. One of the core reasons for that is because we are cooperative. We're cooperative. So let's see. What are your core? So those are some of my core whys. So yeah, Melissa. I mean, I respect your belief, and I don't share that belief. But again, that does not mean I disrespect you. It just means I don't share the belief, and that's all. And we can respect, and people can respect each other, and not share each other's beliefs, right? Isn't that great? It's great. So, and everybody and people can actually be friends. I actually seek to have friends. My copy editor, my copywriter is Muslim. My editor is a very devout Christian. I personally don't have a religion, but I have friends who are Catholic. I have people on this channel who are Hindu, right? That's great. That's great. So, yes, I have read almost every book by Nietzsche. I have read, Nietzsche is wrong about a lot of stuff. Nietzsche is wrong about a lot of stuff. Actually, deeper, I actually wrote a book. Where's my book? That's over there. But I wrote a book on value theory. So yes, I know Nietzsche very well, and I've actually debunked Nietzsche on many things in my book. But here's the thing about Nietzsche is Nietzsche. He talks about how things are genetically determined. Actually, he doesn't talk about how things are genetically determined. He might. You may have interpreted it a certain way, but he doesn't talk about that. Nietzsche actually would be against that view of being genetically determined. So he definitely would be against that view. But Nietzsche can be interpreted in so many ways. I've actually had people who interpret Nietzsche in a very pessimistic way, and I've talked to people who are actually experts on Nietzsche, who talk about Nietzsche, interpret Nietzsche in a very optimistic way, right? So Nameless Book, it really depends on how you interpret Nietzsche, because first of all, Nietzsche is not very clear. I would argue Nietzsche is not actually a very clear on a lot of things. A lot of the things that he says are not meant to be taken literally. They're meant to be expressive, right? They're meant to be interpreted, which is very interesting. That's different from, modern analytic philosophy where everything is meant to be taken literally. So, but that is your interpretation, maybe. I would say historical evidence suggests that's probably not what he meant, what he suggested. But anyway, guys, it's been great. This has been a great live stream with you guys. I really want you guys to reach out to me, interact with me, keep involved. I have my Discord channel. I have, you guys can join if you want a more comprehensive way to kind of follow your path in life. Check out my Dream Life System. You got that in my, it's a new course I launched. Check it out in my, in the link in my About section. But yeah, I'd love to connect with you guys further, and feel free. Have a great rest of your day, and take care of yourself.